I had really strong feelings that I expressed to Eric and Dennis. I think I've been stood up.
Hello, is everybody there? Could you unmute and make sure we can hear you and you can hear me?
Hey, it's Don.
Hey, Don. Hey, Paula.
Hey,
Can you
Chip.
hear? Okay, that's good. Anybody else on?
It's early yet. I got 4 minutes.
Okay, there's Brittany jumping around. Bill Godfrey's on. Paul, I just got a call from John Cushing.
Yeah.
His associate is in the hospital, so he can't make it. She had an emergency.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could go on and see if we want to find the application complete. I told him we'd do that. He said, go ahead if you want. Or we could just put it off. You can talk about it with the board.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can talk about it when people get on. I'm just thinking that there might be questions that people have for John.
Okay, I mean, whatever you determine, I've been working with him on the application. I think they submitted a lot of good stuff in the package, so whatever you want to do.
Okay.
He's good. He was a little bit, not John when I spoke to him. He was pretty bummed. Bless you.
Bless you.
1, 2, 3. One more will be a quorum.
Paul, while we're waiting for the meeting to start, since I have to step down by the end of the year, you let me know how much longer you want me to do this. I'm happy to go right through December.
That would be great.
Okay.
That would
Okay.
be good if you did that. We
Yeah.
would
No
all,
problem.
I'm sure, love to have you continue. So you moving right away or?
We're leaving on the 30th of December, and we will be spending more than 6 months out of the state. In a warmer climate with more favorable tax treatment.
That's 49 states.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the only one that's worse is New Jersey, which is where we moved here from. So, yeah.
Connecticut has surpassed it, believe me.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Got kids in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, and they're all in that house buying phase, and it's a big concern.
Yeah. I see Jack on. Aloha.
You're
Jack,
muted,
you're
Jack.
muted.
I was in Hawaii a couple weeks, week or so ago. I'm back.
Okay. Still can say aloha.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, Brittany, could you unmute just so we can see if you can hear us?
Yep,
Great, okay, you can mute back now, thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, Chip, did you hear from anyone who wouldn't be here?
I did not.
Okay.
My assumption was that I could make it.
There were emails from Henry and,
Henry and Jan both said they
Jan.
couldn't make it.
right.
Did those come today?
They
Yeah.
came within the hour. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I didn't see those. Okay.
So we have a quorum now.
Yeah.
Yep, we do.
So I don't know who was on when I announced it, but John Cushing called up about a half an hour ago. He was in the hospital with somebody that works with him, and so he will not be able to attend tonight. He said if the board wanted to listen to it, you guys can discuss that. What I suggest is that we move Brittany up to the first space and start with that.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order. Sure, why don't, well, first of all, I wanted to just say a word about, I think we talked about this earlier, but I wanted to reiterate concerning your participation, Noel. You are an alternate. So when we have a full complement of 7 board members, you won't be voting. We do not tonight. So I would invite you to vote on issues this evening. And at all times, you're welcome to participate, even if we have a full slate of members and you're not voting. So just wanted to make sure that was clear to everyone. And we have 2 applications on the agenda. As Chip mentioned, one is the Cushing application, but we will start with the Johnson application. And this had to do with what we determined to be a re-subdivision on the Sturdivant Hill Road. As you will recall, when we talked about it last time, there was some discussion about it being a fairly simple application and perhaps we could deal with it in a single meeting. But looking at it a bit further, when I understood the situation better, what they're proposing to do falls within the definition of re-subdivision in the ordinance. And that's one of the circumstances under which we need to find the application, a new application, and go through that process. I still don't think it's particularly complicated, but procedurally, we'll need to look at it for completeness tonight. And then go to hearing and make a decision at a subsequent meeting.
Paul, I have a question.
Yeah, Jack.
So I agree that this is a re-subdivision under a definition, but what do you make of H2? If this revision involves only minor modifications of the plan?
Well, I guess, I guess I was reading H1 because it's so specific with regard to subdivisions, and those circumstances are detailed with such specificity. I was reading it to assume that H1 kind of trumped the language in H2, because it could be a revision to any kind of an approval that the planning board's given. I mean, not just subdivisions, but any site review approval. And so I was looking at H1 as providing the specific guidance with regard to those circumstances. And then anything else, if it's only a minor modification. I didn't read it to give the board authority to say, well, it's minor, so H1 doesn't apply.
Okay, so these things A through F, if it's any of those, then it couldn't be a minor modification.
That's how I read it.
Okay.
I don't know. Do others have thoughts on that?
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I agree with you. This is probably not going to be complicated anyway. So if we want to go through the process, I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And I have added this provision to kind of our running list of things that we should come back to when we're thinking about making revisions. And we usually do that, annually. We'll talk about whether or not there are revisions we would like to make to the LUO, put it in a package if there are. And we've got a couple of things on it already, but I've added this to my list so we can have a conversation about it. Because I do think that, something like what's being proposed here really shouldn't require the full process, but it does, given the language in the ordinance. So with that, I think we were all here last time except for Jack, but Brittany, if you could summarize for us what you're proposing to do, that would be a good place to start.
Okay. We're just looking to buy the land out back because our neighbor is going to sell his house and the land out back is his. And we don't want someone new coming into the neighbor's house and working in the land out back because they could see up to our house. So we're just looking to buy it so it's ours.
Okay. Now, I'd point out for planning board members that the the agenda, the description in the agenda, and I wanted to run this by you, Chip. The description talks about a 1.07 acre lot directly behind the Johnson's current lot. And then it talks about merging the two lots. And as I look at this situation, I don't think it is a lot out and back. It's a portion of the neighbor's lot. So
Right.
it's a piece of land, but it is not a lot. So
Right.
as I understand it, they're looking to purchase that piece of the neighbor's lot and then merge that with their own lot.
Correct.
To square it off or rectangle it off. And so that's correct, right?
Correct. It should have been proposed lot. Or proposed
Well, it's not a
piece.
proposed lot either, right? It's a piece of land that's going to be merged with their existing lot.
Correct.
Okay. So tonight we need to look at this application for completeness, and I'd open it up for any comments or questions.
I wasn't at the last meeting, so I don't know if this was already discussed, but in the list of required submittals, I didn't see the list of abutters or a deed showing ownership and a couple other things. Did you go through that last time?
No, we didn't go through it last time because it became apparent that we couldn't, we didn't have all the pieces. We didn't have the subdivision plan, and it was unclear what else we didn't have, but we definitely didn't have the plan. So Chip, did you go through that with the applicant? Do we have those things?
I think we discussed the abutters last meeting and there was only two, as I understand. Brittany, is that correct?
There's more than
Correct.
that.
There's more than two.
The
No.
people across the road count as butters. And
Okay,
we
yeah.
usually include all people in a subdivision.
Okay, then there's two in the subdivision. Two in the subdivision, one next door, and one across the street.
Okay.
I think we need for the file a written list of abutters and lot numbers. And we also need, is there a deed showing ownership by the applicants
Fucking word.
of their land, of right title and interest in their land?
Chip?
Brittany,
I don't know. Maybe we should write all this crap down so I can be prepared again. Because
Well-
none of this was said last time, and now we're
We
going
didn't go
it
through the
again.
entire list last time.
I mean, I don't even want to buy it, man. This is ridiculous. Tom has his deed. Yes. Do I need to get that from him? Or do you need our deed to our land?
Well, that's a good question. Because it says, need a copy of the deed to the property or other documentation to demonstrate right title or interest in the property on the part of the applicant.
So
So-
when I got off of the meeting last time, what you guys needed from me was a map of the 3 pieces of land. And then what the woman in this group here, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, wanted was to see exactly how our buying of this land would affect our subdivision. That's what I left with last time. So this is all new to me.
Well, I think we do need a written list of the abutters and the lot numbers.
Like my neighbors?
The people who live across the street and the people who abut on your side of the road, behind and to the side.
Okay, so to the side,
But
Would be
but Chip can
Tom.
do that. Chip,
Chip, if you haven't gone through the list of requirements with the Johnsons, I think that needs to happen.
right?
because we need in the file proof that we had the list of abutters and we did a mailing to the list of abutters.
I can do
As far
that,
as-
Sim.
As far as the deed, I'm not sure, I guess, I'm not sure whose deed we need.
Yeah, I don't think the Johnsons have actually purchased the property yet, so they wouldn't have a deed
Right.
to that.
You don't have a
Okay.
purchase and sale agreement or anything like that?
We can't purchase it until after January because of the surveyor coming out, but the surveyor wants planning board approval because he doesn't want to survey our land, and then if we go and sell our home in a year from now, and then we have this piece of land back there that doesn't have planning board approval, he's afraid that it's gonna mess with our land. So he's like kind of looking out for us in a way. That's why I contacted Chip to
You
get
have a-
planning board approval.
You have a written agreement with the seller that you're buying the land?
No, not yet. I mean, I could have
Should-
one tonight if I needed to.
It's just oral agreement?
Yeah, I mean, I could walk up to his house right now and write something down if that's what you need.
He was actually on the call last meeting also.
So it strikes me that, I mean, if everything else was together, I mean, you know, it seems like possibly we could condition a completeness determination on, or an approval on getting the right Tyler interest document.
Yeah, that's
But
fine.
I'm a bit concerned about the rest of it. So
Last time.
is there anything else? You know, we didn't talk through the entire list last time because it was, you know, it was clear we didn't have the plan and we would need to go to,
No, but we left last time with you just saying that you needed to see what us buying the lot out back would do to our subdivision.
Yeah.
That's where.
now,
we left.
I know that we didn't ask you to do anything else in particular. But the decision was made that we needed to treat this as a new application. And so I would have hoped that the submission requirements would have been made clear. But that apparently didn't happen. And so I do think we need to play catch up on that.
I had another question about the map that was provided that we have photos of. Are there any, I can't see the whole map. Are there any conditions on the map? On the plan, on the plot plan?
I've got the subdivision property shows Reed Field for map number 1. Source of title as the A and B, the Burleys. Deed description were based on survey by Daniel Colby. Perimeter of these parcels is shown on this plan is based on the Colby survey, D.D. Harriman. Surveyed, marked, all existing natural flow of water will continued unchanged. Total area lots 0.65.
There's no conditions listed?
Now, again, this was passed as a minor subdivision.
Okay.
So I think we have two possible paths forward. One is simply to ask Chip to work through the list of submissions and make sure that we have a complete application. And then bring it back at our next meeting. The other option, which I'm not completely comfortable with, but you know, as I said before, I do think that this application is a pretty minor one. It's not complicated in any way. And, you know, and Brittany, I wouldn't worry about, the result of this. I think what we're talking about are process issues, and I continue to believe that this is a pretty simple application. So the second option would be for us to find it complete, conditioned on Chip and the applicant working together to ensure that any missing pieces are provided to the planning board as soon as possible. Like I said, I'm not completely comfortable with that. That's not something we would typically do, but those are the two options I see.
So I'm going to be a little sympathetic with Brittany's frustration and suggest option 2 in this case, since it's a pretty straightforward application. Help move this along. That would be my view, and then have Chip go through it with her to make sure that it's completed, that we're not missing anything, and then to notify abutters, and let the process, be completed.
Others, Don, Noel, Jack?
I'm fine with that.
I would agree with Bill. I think it, because it is so straightforward, I would say any way we can streamline this, I think is justifiable here. So I would go along with that as well.
Okay, I just want to make it have a little clarity on the deed. What have you decided you want with the deed?
I think that it should be a purchase and sale or something that shows that Brittany, the Johnsons have right title and interest, purchase and sale or something, a contract, or a written contract. It can be very simple, something that shows that they have a right to have this land transferred to them.
So is that something that I have to go walk up and write down and Tom and I have to sign it, or do we have to go through like the title company and all that stuff? The thing is that what we're waiting for is the surveyor to come out in January, make his little line there. So I have my official map, and then we'll go to our attorney's office and do the land merge and all that stuff. So we weren't gonna give Tom the money he wanted until after we had all that done. So if you need me to go up there and write like the Johnsons are going to buy this, and sign it, we can do that, but we're not gonna actually purchase it. I mean, we
That's
could, if we have to give him the money and go through all that before the surveyor comes out, if that's what you guys need. I
No,
just
we don't
need-
need that.
We don't need that. Jack,
Just
in my mind, I think what we really need is the title to the property that they're going to buy, to make sure that person has the ability to transfer it to the Johnsons.
Okay,
And that, in my mind, and I'm not sure we need to see a purchase and sale agreement. We're just saying that he has a right to transfer it. She has a right to buy it, and if that ultimately happens, we've blessed it. If it doesn't happen, there's no issue. I'm not a property lawyer though, Jack, and I suspect you might have some background in that.
I'm not
so-
either.
Oh, you're not either. Okay, you sound like it sometimes.
Yeah.
can the neighbor that I'm buying this land from and I come in and see Chip and write something up so it's like done the right way? Because I
You
don't
can-
know.
You could just have something in writing between the two of you, just a little written contract saying that the Johnsons are purchasing approximately 1.5 acres or whatever it is from Diplock or whoever it is
Yeah,
for a price of whatever.
okay, and
Both
then
of you
bring
sign
that
it and
in.
date it. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I can do that, and I'll just bring that into Chip then.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and if there are any other pieces, Chip can talk through that with you. If there's anything else that's needed that hasn't been provided thus far.
Okay. Okay.
So other planning board comments or questions? Okay, I'd look for a motion then.
I'll make a motion to find the application complete, subject to submission of the additional submittals required by the application form, and notify abutters, including all abutters in the subdivision, or all subdivision landowners, and schedule a public hearing and waive the site visit.
Seconded.
Discussion? I'll call for a vote. John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Paula, yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Brittany. I know it must be frustrating for something that appears to be so simple. I said it's a process thing. We need to go through the hoops, and I think your case highlights for us a change that maybe we need to take a look at in the ordinance, because it is a simple proposal and we should be able to accommodate that. So, but Chip can give you some guidance on anything else that might be required, and we'll schedule this for a subsequent meeting and hopefully make a decision and be done with it. So thanks very much for your patience, and we'll see you probably at our next meeting.
Okay.
Won't we have to, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I'm having a baby in 4 days, so I don't know if I'm gonna be at your next meeting, but I'll just keep in touch with Chip and we'll go from there. That's why I'm being so like, ugh. I just want this all done. But yeah,
Wow.
no, I'll keep you posted.
Congratulations, Brittany.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Well,
And
won't we-
we're likely, well, I'm certain that we won't be having a meeting Thanksgiving week.
Okay.
And so our next meeting might in fact be in early December. So,
Okay.
but we'll be talking about that later.
Won't we
Okay,
need, when this is done, when this is approved, we'll need a new plot plan that I guess Dan Harriman will do
Well, I assume
during the
that
new subdivision.
the surveyor, you said you have a surveyor going out in January, right? So I assume
Right.
that would form the basis for the new plot plan, but something, the plan that's on file currently will have to be formally modified.
And don't we usually sign that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so once he comes out and does all that good stuff, I'll bring all that stuff into you guys as well then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thanks,
All right.
thanks very much, Brittany.
That's
Yep.
Brittany. Brittany.
All
Good
right,
luck.
thanks guys. Thanks so much. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Chip, I'm going to request that you make sure to run through these applications for completeness with applicants, because it's very uncomfortable when we get them in a meeting setting where they really haven't been vetted and there are deficiencies in them. So I will make that request of you that that you go through that process with each of them, because it will work much better for us. So Chip was talking earlier about the fact that John Cushing had an emergency and he is not going to be here tonight. My thought is that we should hold his application until the next meeting and take it up then. In large part because I think that I have a few questions that only John could answer. And I don't believe that we'd be able to make a determination on completeness tonight unless some of those things were responded to. Others may have questions for John as well. And if he's not here, I don't feel like we're in a position to make a completeness determination. But if you have a different view, let's talk about that.
Do we know if he's decided to reduce the size of the building so that he doesn't have to?
He did, yeah. He decided to reduce it to just under 5,000. 4980 is the new number.
Here you go.
And but that plan was just sent out to us yesterday, I think. I didn't even look at it until this morning. And so, I mean, that really is another reason, I think, to push it off until the next meeting. Because everyone needs a chance to look at that and understand clearly what we have and what we don't have.
I would like him to specify the height of the buildings. He's
All the
specified-
packet,
he's-
What's that, Chip?
Jack, it's in the packet I sent you, his revised specifications and all. The height
Yes,
is in there,
the height of the buildings is in there?
yes,
That was the package you sent when?
yesterday,
Yesterday.
below the maps.
Okay.
So I'm going to propose that we reschedule this and not try to take it up tonight. People have not had enough time to look at the material, and John isn't here, so.
Paula, I do have a concern, though, if we just put it off without talking at all about it. Because I was just going through it, trying to find what's in there for stormwater / erosion control. And I really don't see anything there. So if we don't talk about this, then all of a sudden we've just lost another meeting, if in fact that is a requirement for completeness.
Well, we can certainly talk about it. I think that's a valid concern. My issue is that I don't think that we should attempt to make a completeness determination tonight without John here. But if there are things that are obvious to you and to others that are missing or are problems, we should provide that information to Chip so that he can connect with John before the next meeting to make sure we don't lose another meeting, as you say, John. So erosion control material, anything else?
And Chip, I just want to make sure I wasn't missing that, if there's something there that I didn't see.
Let me cover it with him when I see him.
To the extent of what I see on that is that he just states that he's certified in erosion control. That's the extent of it. I see.
Right.
One of the questions that I had that I was going to ask John Chip was about the construction of this new road or driveway down to the facility. I looked at the new material pretty quickly. I just didn't have time, but I didn't see anything that was specific about the construction of that. Is it paved? Is it not paved? How wide is it? I saw a line on the map, but there was no other information about it.
Did he submit a proof of ownership also? I don't remember seeing. And there was a list of abutters, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And I assume
So
that
did you
includes
provide
people-
TRI, Chip?
Excuse me?
TRI? Title right or interest? Did he provide something?
He did not. I had assumed if he was on the tax maps and paying taxes, that would be that, but we'll get a deed.
The ordinance
Yeah.
specifically requires submission of TRI with applications.
right? Anything else?
So the list of abutters includes people across the road from him? I didn't look at it.
I think Val Pomelo was on there, so, and she's across the road, so
Okay,
at least she's on there. I don't know if there are others.
We had Wright Brower, Willman, Camp KV, and Val Carmelo.
Could you make sure, Chip, that that's a complete list?
Yep.
I don't have any questions. I actually just found those emails from Chip in my junk folder, so I didn't even see them until just now. I'll fix that. It's not junk, Chip. It's just my company decided it was junk.
Yeah,
So anything else that anyone wants to raise?
Nope.
Okay. So I had spent quite a chunk of time going through, I had marked up minutes previously, but I just did it on paper when I did the first markup. But I went through and inserted my suggestions electronically and just today sent that to all of you. Going through those minutes caused me to think about a number of issues, structural and mechanical issues concerning minutes. And I thought it might be useful to have a conversation about a couple of aspects of those. One of the things that I noticed and that I marked up considerably really had to do with what I view as the primary purpose of minutes, which is to record what happens at a particular meeting. It's not to recite the project description or the status of the project, although that can be useful in the minutes, certainly. But I found it extremely difficult. I actually found it impossible to go through those minutes sequentially and understand exactly what was happening with each of those projects. So I spent a lot of time going back into my own notes and going back into old minutes, trying to reconstruct the sequence of things with these projects. So I think one of the issues is that we need the minutes to reflect a consistent use of the terminology that we use as part of our process. And one of the things that I found particularly confusing was use of the term open. There are many places in those minutes where it says the application is open or was opened. And it really doesn't give any indication of the action that the planning board took. So going forward, I guess, what I'd like to suggest is that the terminology that's used reflect our process, so that if we pick up a set of minutes, we can tell clearly what we did and where we are in the process at that particular time. We need to be clear when we are doing completeness reviews, for instance. If we found the application complete at a particular meeting, the minutes need to reflect that. If we schedule a public hearing, if the planning board considered an application but didn't take any particular action on it, it should be reflected that way. So I don't know if any of you noticed those issues, but as I got into them, it really required me to do a fair amount of research to figure out exactly what happened at those meetings. So again, going forward, I'd like to suggest that we use the terminology that reflects our process. And I don't think that should be too difficult because we do have a pretty standard process where we review for completeness. We schedule for hearing and site visit, and then ultimately we deliberate and make a decision. There are some exceptions to that basic procedural approach, but I think generally that's how we deal with these. The markups that I sent, sending them like this, I guess it must be the whole Google system where revision marks exclude the deletions you've made. I'm not sure how to remedy that, but that's how they turn out on this. I typically use Word when I'm doing the revisions, and when you do track changes, you can see in the narrative both the deletions and the insertions. But
I downloaded the document as a Word document and I see the deletions.
you do? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Word.
Yeah, I mean, I did them in Word, but when I opened up what I sent to all of you, it was in that strange format that it marks where you've made a change, but it doesn't necessarily include the deletions. And I think that the deletions can be as instructive as seeing what was added. So Jack, I know you made a few comments on 2 or 3 sets of the minutes, and I wanted to ask if anyone else has comments, or if you would like to go through them quickly individually. I don't know what your preferred approach is, but
Why don't we go through what the changes that you made, starting chronologically from May 11th, I guess?
you want to do it that way?
Yeah. Hey, Paula.
Yeah.
I just went up and went to view and selected draft, and that just changed it for me. So
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
All
so it's
right.
a very simple thing to
Okay.
do.
That's good. Simple. I didn't know how to do it, but I'm glad it's simple.
Could you
Okay.
forward a copy to myself and to Kristen, please?
I did.
When was that sent?
Earlier this afternoon, I sent it to you and Kristen. I talked to Kristen on the phone also.
Got it.
Do you want to do May 11th?
Yeah, I'm opening it up. Sorry. I got another screen open here. Okay, May 11th. Now that that first piece where I included yellow highlight. I did that because I had not gone back at that point and researched exactly what had happened. It was a case where it says this application was open and continued to. And I believe the situation was the application was initially considered by the board. And that
I think,
and we needed additional information. And so it was considered again on the 27th. We can come back and insert the, I don't have the numbers in front of me here, but in the minutes for the 27th, it reflects what actually happened there. So I think it's a matter of just going back and being specific. So I think we initially considered the application on the 13th. It was found complete on the 27th, and then it was scheduled for public hearing on the 11th. So what actually happened was a public hearing on the 11th. So the first bullet says the public hearing opened, but I would suggest inserting some specificity in that opening sentence so we understand what happened. And it was that the application came before us. We needed additional information, so it was taken up again on the 27th and scheduled for public hearing. It was found complete and scheduled for public hearing. So I made that same type of change in the first sentence and the second paragraph and some additional wording changes. Again, in the third paragraph, I changed open what to determine to be complete. And while I was in there, I just made a few fussy changes. So any other comments on this set? Any comments on my comments?
I'm okay with them.
They all seem like reasonable changes.
I'm fine with them as well.
Okay, I'm going to suggest, I think, that maybe we go through all of them, make sure we're all satisfied with them, and then just vote on them as a block, if that's acceptable to all of you.
That works for me.
Jack, did you have anything on these?
I don't remember. It doesn't show up. I thought I did, so maybe it's fine.
Okay, let's move on to June 2nd.
May 25th?
Oh, wait, sorry, I've got them out of order here. Yeah, May 25th. That comes before June 2nd. Similar changes in this one. Specificity about what happened at that meeting. And I think the other suggestion I would have, you know, in the past, if you look at older minutes and agendas, the agendas were structured in such a way that it indicated new applications, or if they were pending applications, or if we were holding a public hearing, something of that sort. So on this one, we've got public hearing, but we have new submission, and I scratched out submission and put application, because there is, we often talk about new submissions by applicants who have applications pending. So I want it to be clear that there's a distinction there. So I indicated new application. This was the first meeting where the planning board considered the safe space application.
So I'm a little confused about May 25th on Mayo Road. It says the public hearing was held on the 11th. So what were we doing at this? I thought this was the public hearing. It says public hearing.
Yeah, it is the public hearing, and
So wasn't it May 20? The public hearing wasn't held on the 11th.
public hearing. I think that's a,
Wasn't it that completeness meeting? What did we determine on the 11th?
so, let's see. Mayo Road, application. The application was found complete on April 27th, and it was scheduled for hearing on the 11th. So I think, yeah, and the site visit was on May 11th, and that was the same day, I know, as the public hearing.
Right.
So I think the problem probably is that this doesn't indicate that
We closed the
it was
public
probably
hearing.
a continuation of the public hearing.
I think that's right.
Chip says no.
No, if we go back and read on the previous, we skipped over that, by the way. It was on the second page there. It was found complete on the previous meeting on the 27th. And it was
What are you
scheduled-
reading from, Chip?
The second page of May 11th minutes.
Right, right. This application was determined to be complete on 4/27 and was scheduled for a public hearing to be held on 5/11, which was this meeting's minutes, which was this meeting.
No, the ones that we're looking at right now are May 25th.
But on May 11th,
I'm reading from 5/11, okay? And on 5/11, they said this application was determined to be complete on the 27th and was scheduled for a public hearing on 5/11/21,
Yes.
which was the open public hearing.
so on the 11th, we held the public hearing and we closed the public hearing and we decided to seek legal advice on the issue that they raised, the road issue, I guess.
Or,
And then we met on the 25th to discuss what we had gotten back from legal counsel, I think.
There was, if you look third bullet from the bottom on the May 11th public hearing, there was more information requested from the planning board. There was a list of 5 items. So,
And also right above that bullet, Cliff suggested to get written MMA legal advice on the increase in nonconformity, which we did get.
In the May 11th minutes, the last bullet says, motion made by Dawn to close the public hearing. So the hearing was opened and closed.
So then on the
May 11th.
25th, we met to consider new information.
Yeah, apparently.
Right, which was the issue they had with their next door neighbor, the Corys, and then also Kristen's analysis of changing the road frontage and what that did, and it actually made it more non-conforming.
So this language at the beginning is accurate. A public hearing was held on 5/11. And I think the problem, the confusion comes, the heading, which I did not change, which says public hearing.
Right.
Right.
Well,
So that's
we're
the
supposed to-
problem piece here.
and we should say the purpose of the meeting too.
Yeah, the purpose of
Yeah.
that would make this clear, right?
Yeah.
The purpose of the meeting was to consider the Corys' concerns and get a analysis from the town attorney on the changing of the driveway.
And also to review the requested additional information for May 11th.
Okay.
And I don't actually remember, at this point, did we not make a decision? And I've
On
gotta
the
look.
We
25th,
didn't. The last bullet says that there was a vote to table the application.
Okay,
And this meeting was the last time we ever saw the Morashes. So they've been to the appeals board, but this is the last meeting where we considered their application.
okay.
So up in the beginning, in that introductory paragraph, Jack, is that where you're talking about?
saying that we reconvene on the 25th to consider new information that was requested at the May 11th meeting.
Kristen, are you working on these as we're discussing?
I am. And I actually, I have Jack's minutes that he had made changes to.
Okay,
And he has it says this for the 25th, it says the application was reviewed and open for public hearing on 5/11. The public hearing was closed and scheduled for further review on 5/25. Is how Jack had edited that.
okay. So now there's a suggestion that we need to add a piece that says that at this meeting on the 25th, the board reviewed additional information submitted by the applicant, or do you want to expand on that, Jack?
Either way, what I said, what Kristen read or what you just said is fine.
Because I think the list of bullets outlines the kind of information that was talked about, the quarries and the site survey and Kristen's view with regard to the driveway road issue. So Kristen, could you add a sentence that says that the board reviewed additional information provided by the applicant?
Yep, I just wrote that down.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do you want to change it to a public meeting from a public hearing?
Yeah, I think we need to get rid of hearing, because it wasn't that. Um, You know, all our meetings, all our meetings are public meetings. And I think for the purposes of the minutes and the agenda, if, you know, below that, we have new application. I guess I would suggest that maybe we identify this application as a pending application. And not, you know, not call it a public hearing or a public meeting. It's a given that it's a public meeting. And so I think we need to identify the nature of the application instead of the nature of the meeting.
That makes sense to me. And it was a pending application, so that's a good descriptive term.
So then it gets into safe space. And in both this one and subsequent minutes that dealt with safe space, I made some additional changes just because I'm particularly concerned, because of the nature of this application, that we try to be as accurate as possible. And so I did make some changes with that in mind. You know, we don't know what will happen legally with the decision that we just made, but there is an expectation that it could be appealed. And I wanted to be sure that the minutes reflected our discussions in the best way possible. So that's why I did some of this.
Your changes look fine to me, Paul.
Yeah, they're fine.
Anybody else, anything on this one?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
All right. Okay, June 2nd. And this was the meeting where we considered in detail the completeness of Safe Spaces application. And so the third from the last bullet, I inserted one. I thought it was important that we make it clear that the board did discuss that in detail, that the application met the site review submission requirements of Article 6. I eliminated a lot of language in the beginning, the first paragraph, because I just didn't find it, I didn't find it to be accurate. It says in part, the application asks the board to consider if the proposed community center club use fits within the rural residential district when allowed by planning board decision, and to judge the completeness of the application. I mean, those are things that the planning board would consider, but the application doesn't ask us to do that. That's our process. And so I was just concerned about the accuracy of the statement.
Fine, there is a dangling "the" in that opening paragraph that you should have probably crossed out.
Is there a dangling the? Oh,
That
yes,
first-
there
that-
is.
yeah.
Do you see
That was-
that, Kristen?
That was for Kristen's benefit, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, anybody?
Not for me.
Jack? Don?
So let me just. No, that's fine.
You good with that? Noel? Anything? No. Don?
No, I'm good.
Okay. 7:27. A number of changes on this one for a variety of reasons. One issue was that, I was struggling to identify the proper dates for actions that the board took. And I made some changes to reflect those. We did in fact consider this on September 9th and 23rd, not on September 14th. And then a public hearing was scheduled for October 14th. And that was the one where Baudo was not in attendance, and so we continued the public hearing.
So what, on 7 Colony Road, you said that the plans were reviewed by the board at the 7/27/21 meeting. What else did we do then? Did we continue it? Did we approve it?
This is
So it's just left
727
open?
that we're looking at.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like that last sentence says the application was left open as the applicant did not participate. Which sounds like we need to do something, add something back in if we cross that out.
did he not attend the 7/27 meeting?
Or was that referring to October 14th? Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, hold on a minute. So this application was considered at which time?
Yeah, we heard from him again on August 25th. That was the continuation of the public hearing that was opened on 10/14/20.
Yeah, and that was when he came back with the erosion control plans. And I think we actually approved it on that date.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't appear that he's in the list of attendees, and I think that was the meeting another meeting that he did not attend. But he had submitted some additional information and we reviewed that information.
I think we should say that the applicant did not attend, so we continued the matter to the next meeting. So he submitted stuff and we reviewed it, but we didn't make any decisions except to continue the public hearing to the next meeting.
Yeah, because we did in fact continue the public hearing on the 27th of August.
Of July.
No, August. And that's the date. So the next set of minutes reflects that we continued the public hearing and we made a decision on the application on the 25th of August. And
27th, we considered it. He was not present, so we continued the matter.
yeah,
Because
we
the
can add
applicant
that.
was present, we continued the matter. So-
And I don't recall, I mean, there's no reference to tabling, so I assume there was no formal tabling or action. I mean, when we continue something like this, I guess that what's a question in my mind is, you know, what does it mean when we say we didn't act, we're continuing it? Was there a formal action?
I don't think we vote. I think we discussed maybe about whether we're
How it
tabling it.
was there that day. If you read that last paragraph, it says it's alluding to 10/14/20. The public hearing was continued because the applicant was not in attendance. I believe he was there on 7/27. I'll have to check my notes.
He's not in the list.
he's
Yeah.
not in the list, and I don't think he was there. You know, if you want to check, Chip, and see if you have something different, but I don't believe he was there, and that's why it was again.
I guess the reason I'm questioning this is because the next meeting was a continuation of a public hearing. Correct? That's the next application, minutes. This was not a public hearing, this was a public meeting.
The public hearing was not closed. We continued it because we expected that we would be continuing the public hearing. We didn't close it, so it was a continuation.
From
The record was
October-
still open. We had not closed the hearing.
From October of 20. That was when it was scheduled for. We just kept continuing it.
Right, we just kept it open, and then,
I wasn't here, forgive me. So back in October, that was a public hearing?
yes,
Yes,
Okay.
but he.
and as you recall, he disappeared. He fell off the radar for a while because he went back and redesigned.
March.
So it was very unclear when he was going to come back, and we expected him before spring.
Yeah.
So Kristen, did you get the addition of that piece reflecting that the applicant was not present? So
the matter was continued.
yeah, and then, you know, maybe following that last sentence, since the applicant was not present, the application was, the hearing was again continued, something like
Yes,
that.
I got that, yep.
On 26 Mill Stream Road there, it doesn't indicate that anyone from the applicant was present at the meeting, which seems odd. You know, in the list of attendees.
So on this one I was excused because I was not at the meeting. So I
Right.
actually do not know who was in attendance. And that it was not recorded.
Um,
What did we decide at this meeting?
We didn't, I remember this meeting, and it was the meeting where, you know, what we did was to review the supplemental information that was provided by the applicant earlier in July. And we did not take a formal action. And again, I believe that the applicant was not represented at the meeting.
And I think if I remember correctly, he went away and redesigned it so that it met both height and square footage requirements. And that's what we looked at the subsequent, at the August 25th meeting. And we found that it was conforming and ultimately approved the project.
Wait a minute, Jack, are you talking about Baudo or Safe Space?
I was talking about safe space.
Sorry, I was talking about Baudo.
They all kind of run together.
Yeah, my apologies.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think that's the one where we had asked for a lot of additional information, and Jed had provided a package of supplemental information in July. And we
right.
looked at that information at this meeting, but there was no one representing the applicant there. So it should probably say that. The board reviewed supplemental information that was provided by the applicant earlier in July.
But this is the day after the site visit. What?
No, the site visit was in August.
Right, what are we looking at right now?
July 27.
Oh, July 27th. Sorry.
So when I inserted some comments, I just left it that the board reviewed supplemental information provided by the applicant earlier in July. We could add to that and make it more specific. I just cut it off there because that's all we did.
And did we continue the matter? Oh, we must have set up the site visit and the next public hearing because the site visit was on August 24th.
Right, and the
public hearing
hearing
was on the
was on the
25th.
25th.
So we must have made a decision to do that at this
Yes,
meeting.
and that happened in the next set of, oh, wait a minute,
August 25th.
But that was the public hearing. So at this meeting in July, didn't we? Now that we had all the information we requested, we must have scheduled a public hearing and scheduled a site visit and this public hearing.
oh, well, see, you remember what we wound up doing was kind of prematurely finding it complete. So
That
I
was-
think,
That was at
and
the
that
meeting
was
before.
because we had to do it before the town meeting. And so
Right.
that was back in.
That was in June.
Let's
That was
see.
in June, and then this meeting on the 27th in July was where they submitted the additional information. We must have made a decision to schedule the public hearing because the next set of meetings is from August 25th, where it says it's a public hearing. The site visit was on the 24th.
Yeah, the
Unless there's
minutes
a
from
meeting.
June 2nd say that we found that it met the basic submission requirements, but the planning board will not schedule a public hearing until it has received the documents and information as outlined in this meeting.
So then on July 27th, we had the meeting with, after Jed Davis submitted all the additional documents. And we decided then to schedule the site visit and the public hearing. That was the result of the July 27th meeting.
Jeez, I guess,
If I may.
Please.
It's all very well laid out in your findings of fact under history of application, if you'd like me to read it.
where are you reading, Chip?
I'm reading from the draft, well, this is the draft, but probably the final also, and the findings of fact that that you had penned. So if you'd like me to read this one paragraph, it might bring some clarity.
All right, so this is, okay,
On March 20th, 2021, SSMH resubmitted its application through its agent, Mitchell Davis. SSMH engaged further discussion with CEO regarding the complex need. SSMH submitted the application fee on May 3rd, 2021. The planning board considered the application at its meeting on May 25th, 2021, and again at a regular meeting on June 2nd, 2021, at which time the application was found to have met the basic submission requirements of the Refield LUO. Supplemental information was submitted by SSMH in July, and the planning board initially reviewed that information at July 27th, 2021 meeting. A site visit was held on August 24th, 2021, and a public hearing was held on August 25th, 2021. A final hearing to complete deliberations on September 28th, 2021. The findings, okay.
that doesn't answer the question that we have on the table, which was, when did we set the public hearing? Was it outside of a regular planning board meeting?
No, it was when you conditionally approved the completeness of the application.
Well, what you just read didn't address that question, is what I'm saying. And the draft minutes don't reflect that we made that decision. There's no vote, there's no discussion about a public hearing.
Did
So-
we have any other meetings in August?
I don't think so. I think it was,
Kristen, do you know?
I don't think so either. There was a pretty big gap.
No, we didn't.
So we must have on the 27th determined that we had sufficient information to move the application forward and schedule the site visit and the public hearing.
I believe you did, because when I came back from vacation, that was like the one question I asked was what happened at the meeting.
Well, and at the next meeting, we had a public hearing, so.
Right.
And the day before that, we did do the site visit, so that had to have been done then, in that July meeting.
I just find it curious that we would have done that without the applicant present. Well, I suppose that we could have just
This
voted
was recorded on
to hold
Zoom.
a public hearing and site visit, but not schedule it yet.
We
Yeah, I
have
think
a
that's what
meeting-
happened because the site, I was surprised that the site visit was the day before. I didn't know that until like 2 days before. So I don't think it was scheduled until last minute.
Again,
Well-
we have a recording of this available for anybody to review. This was recorded via Zoom.
And then the draft minute should have reflected the recording.
According to
Oh.
Bob Attar's mailing, we had a public hearing on July 27th.
I don't have to account for his missteps.
So Paula, since we've already got the findings of fact already laid out, is it really essential that we do anything more on these minutes at this stage?
I think we could just leave it the way it is. And I don't think it would cause any harm.
Yeah, and if it comes up as an issue, if it's been recorded, we can always go back to that recording.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
flush out anything that needs to be flushed out.
And, in fact, when I looked at this, not having any additional information, I thought, well, this will work. We did do this. Maybe we did something else, but we don't have any record of it outside of the recording, apparently. So if everyone is comfortable just leaving it at this and understanding that a recording is available, then.
Yeah, I would just make a notation on the minutes that the recording, that it was recorded. And the recording's available.
Recorded on the minutes as that.
It does, okay.
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 8:25. So 8:25 was the actual hearing. Well, it was two things. It was the continuation of the Bowdow hearing, but this is the meeting at which we also made a decision on Bowdow. And so that piece was relatively brief. And then the bulk of it is the public hearing on safe space.
Yeah, I've read through this and to the best of my memory, this was probably recorded also. Does it say that here?
Yeah, I'm quite certain this was recorded. Yeah.
It looks like an accurate representation with the changes that have been made.
Looks good to me.
Me as well.
Well,
The only thing that strikes me is that the minutes ended, it doesn't say what the next steps are. Don't we normally close with what we're doing next?
there is a next steps here, but it's not the last thing in these minutes. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the
Yeah, next-
sixth
Oh, there it
bullet
is. Yeah,
from the
yeah.
bottom.
Yeah, Paul, whenever I say something like that, you always bring me back to where it is. So thank you. It's there.
You might make next steps not a bullet and then have those bullets underneath next steps because they're all next steps, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Well, they're not all, but two of them
And,
are. 3 of them are.
there certainly was more that could have been done with these minutes, but I tried to keep it to a minimum from my perspective. Noel, did you have anything else?
No, they seem acceptable as amended.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention, there are the ones from September, but it's about a 4-hour meeting. Again, I was on vacation during then, but I am working on getting those done, listening to that Zoom meeting. And Eric did take minutes that time for me to help me out.
Okay. And that was what, the 28th?
That-
Is that right?
I have them sorry. That was for 9/28, yeah.
Okay. But we do have 10/26. So we can look at that one.
And then I'll also have the 11/3 ones for you guys as well.
Which ones, Kristen?
The ones from November 3rd that we just had last week.
Oh, okay, from
Yeah,
the
those
safe
ones.
space decision, yeah.
Yes.
The 10:26 minutes look okay to me.
And in this one, I did try to clarify that issue concerning the property and the lots and what is a lot and what isn't a lot. Chip, I had a question for you. I kept seeing reference to the Big Sky subdivision, but when I looked at the approval that was issued by the town, it was for the Diplock subdivision. So I wasn't sure where that came from, Big Sky.
We go into the files and we go back to some of the material that was provided by Brittany. It's called the Big Sky Division, but I guess it had reverted to being called the Diplock because it was a Diplock property. But the file in our archives is for the Big Sky subdivision, a minor subdivision in the town of Greenfield.
Okay, well, what I was looking at was the planning board decision that was signed on in 2003 approving the subdivision, and it was called the Diplock subdivision. So that's the reason I asked the question.
It was submitted as Big Sky and ended up the Diplock, I guess.
So any comments on these? Okay. So I'd ask for a motion on these 6 sets of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 5/11, 5/25, 6/2, 7/27, 8/25, and 10/26, 2021, with the amendments that Kristen has been updating as we went through them.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Okay, call for vote. Don?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
And Paula, yes.
So what's our next meeting?
Well, it appears to be
The 23rd, saying?
well, the 23rd is a Thanksgiving week, and I know I'm not available. I don't know if what plans others have.
I'm not available either.
Chip, is there anything pressing?
Just a continuation of the 2 that we had tonight, and there might be a third one that hasn't arisen yet.
So in December, when would that be?
Second Tuesday is the 14th of December.
And I will not be available on that date.
There you go.
Actually, well, yeah, no, that's the day I'm flying back from Florida that day. That's, I'm not sure what time I'll be back, so.
So you would also be away on the 7th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do the 14th.
Okay. Noel and Bill, are you good for the 14th?
Yeah, 14th is fine with me.
Noel?
I would be available.
Okay. All right, well, let's plan on the 14th then. Jack, did you want to go ahead with the other issue I mentioned to you, or wait?
I don't care. We can wait.
Wait?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Anyone?
Oh, I got something, if I could.
Yes, Noel.
I think this is really more for Chip, but I would love if we could get the ordinances that are on the website in a text recognized format. Like I have difficulty searching through it quickly. So it's 144 pages, and I always want to do Control F or find particular words to follow along with elements of it and jump around, and it's very difficult. Right now it's like a scan of a copy. But if it was like actually like the Word document, that'd be awesome.
Right. I had asked this of Eric about a week ago, because I'm the same way, and I have a Word copy if you want to borrow it or get a copy of it. That was purposely done because we've been waiting for the vote on the revisions to the land use ordinances that were just passed at this past election. That has to be incorporated in, and at that point, we'll have a clean copy and it will be posted as a Word file for you all at that time.
So we have done the changes so far, and I actually just started reviewing the changes to make sure everything lines up on the pages, and then that's going to be available.
So will the Word document be available on the website?
That one would be an Eric question, because I know when we try to upload it on a Word document, it does something funky, but I'm sure he can figure it out.
I mean,
It
I
can be a
know I've
PDF.
used a Word document before, but I've requested it specifically if I was working on changes or something like that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just going through those final to make sure all the pages are lined up with the index and all that stuff, and then it will be available, and we'll get it up the easy way on the website and everything for everybody.
It'll be a PDF there.
I'll, like Chip said, he said we can work with Eric to get it so there's one of the easy find like you were looking for.
Could you check with Eric and see if he could make that available?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's scanned in properly with a copy of Adobe, then you will have a searchable PDF. I think that's the wise way to go, and that's what Eric's working on.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep,
We'll get a hard copy also.
you can get a copy well, you will get a hard copy. We have to submit this also to the DEP for approval. They have to approve it before, I think that before we should put it out. They have to approve because of the shoreland ordinance being altered. It's just routine. It shouldn't take long.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you all. Good
Thank you.
night. We'll see you on the
Good evening,
14th.
everybody. Yep.
Don, have a good time in Florida.
Thanks,
Yeah.
and there's a chance I may be back in time, so you might or might not see me. I
Okay,
have to check schedules. So,
okay.
But thanks.
Have fun, yeah.
Good night.